I posted a video on Instagram about 2 weeks ago, and it was me doing cable pulleys and also me doing side laterals. So let me see if I can just get you the video up over here. It caused quite an uproar, believe it or not. So this is the video. I think you guys, if I move my face out, it should, there we go. So you can see it. You can see what I'm doing there. And the caption above says muscle gain tempo, which I'm doing it deliberately fast because I'll explain in a minute. And underneath I wrote joint pain tempo. So as you can see, I'm doing it fast and I'm doing it slow. Now I do exactly the same thing about a week later and it looks like this. But this time I am doing it one with cables. As you can see how the normal guys do it, very, very slow with cables. And I'm doing it deliberately fast because the dumbbells are light underneath. Now, the caption on the top one with the cable says, looks fancy, takes up 2 cables, 0 muscle. Of course, I've heard a new term which is called rage bait, which I'm assuming is trying to bait out anger from guys. Like it. Maybe I was doing that. Of course I was doing that, but I didn't know it was called rage bait. I call it fishing, but I suppose it's the same thing. Looks solid underneath, 0 chance of injury, which is obviously not true, and builds muscle, which is true. Now, to be honest with you, builds muscle could be said for both. Oh yeah, by the way, let me just, bring you round to the last video, and all these have got like 100k views, yeah? This one here was the last one. It's the same thing with dumbbells. I'm doing a barbell at the top video, and I'm doing the cables underneath. And on the top it says 50 kg means 50 kg. Like true weight is true weight. And constant tension throughout, which it is and it isn't. And underneath it says 0 tension at the top, which is true with cables. And 0 tension at the bottom. Of course, that is also true. Now, yes, these are put in a little bit of what you would call tongue-in-cheek. A little bit of humor added to it. You guys know how I do. If you watch my YouTube, you'll understand it. But when you watch my Instagram, obviously it's quite difficult to understand because you think, well, this guy is just putting some garbage out. And bear in mind, let me just say one thing. These reels are no longer than 7 seconds. 7 seconds. And in these 7-second clips, people want me to explain exactly what I'm talking, what I'm doing, why am I doing it? How can I say this? How can I say this is shit? How can I say that is shit? And some of the comments are just outrageous, like literally ridiculous. So I'm going to in this video, I'm going to address, first and foremost, I'm going to talk about why I feel dumbbells and barbells are better than cables. And it's very simple. And I made another video about this as well, which is a little bit of a longer video. It was about a 1.5-minute video. And in basic theory, everyone can understand science. Everyone understands physics, understands load, how a load works. Now, when you use a dumbbell or a barbell, from the bottom it's heavy, all the way up it's heavy, it's heavy, it's heavy. As you get to the top and you hold it to the top, you can shift your elbows, how am I going to do with this? Forward a little bit, and then the weight's just rested here and rested here. You can rest it. If it's here, then of course it's all inside the bicep. Now we all know that, but no one actually trains like that. No one does barbell curls and then rests at the top. It just doesn't work. Now when you use a cable, you have a cable attached to a pulley, and you're stepping forward, everyone says, oh, step further forward. You're not stepping forward enough. I'll explain why stepping forward actually lessens the tension on the muscle. Because as you step forward, the force, or new gravity, if you want to call it this, you've actually changed the gravitational pull of this weight because the weight is now this way, okay? As you step further forward, you've created the same leverage. Now, rather than gravity going this way or the load going this way, you now made the load go that way. So as you come past just this little tipping point, just from here to here, now nothing is on the muscle. All the weight is placed in the joints, the tendons, ligaments, whatever you want to call it. Now, of course, technique matters. Of course, technique matters. There's a way to do it both ways. There's a way to do it in dumbbells. There's a way to do it in pulleys. My argument is, I'm not a fence sitter, first and foremost. I never sit on the fence. I'm very direct. I like to say what I say, and it is what it is. I've been training for a very, very long time. 25 years I've been training for. 25 years, yes. In the gym, active membership for 25 years. Never really taken a week off. And if I took a week off, it was due to illness. but I can't really remember the time I took a week off. So I have had the best coaches in the world coach me. I traveled all the way to Gold's Gym, LA, Las Vegas. Well, Las Vegas went first, but then traveled to LA. Trained with some of the best guys. Paid at the time, this was back in then, like 10, 12 years ago. No one was paying $100 for personal training, but I did when I went there. I paid $100 to some of the best personal trainers in the world. Charles Glass being one of them. Chris Cormier being another. If you don't know these names, look them up. I then traveled halfway around the world to Kuwait, when Kuwait was the big boss, to go and learn from those guys. I have done my fair share of learning from the best because these guys were the best at that time. Okay? Now, I know basically what I'm trying to say is I know a thing or two about training. And if there's something about training that I don't know, it ain't worth knowing. It's the way I see it. Okay? If you were experienced in something for 25 years and you told me, Fadi, look, this is the gospel, this is what we do in this game, this is how it works, I'm like, bro, I'm following you. You want to talk about a restaurant trade? You know how to serve customers, you know how to do this X, Y, Z? Bro, I'm behind you. Do you know why? Because guess what my experience in the restaurant trade is? I probably worked in a restaurant for 6 months. That's it. Don't know nothing. Don't know how to do the accounts, don't know how to get the stock, don't know how to set the tables. Well, I don't know how to set the tables, but you get what I'm trying to say. How to situate the tables, how to do everything. I don't know none of that shit. So of course, if I was to learn about something, I would ask an expert. I, in this field, am classed as an expert. Whether you like to believe it or not, I will sit there and argue with the best in the world. And I will probably win because one thing that I'm good at is debating. Very, very good. And you will see soon, if you like this page and help me push into the fitness stratosphere, you will see how good my debating skills are. Because those guys who stutter at the top and need Google to find an argument, I'm going to destroy them. You know it's coming. You know what's happening. So, point is, pulleys versus dumbbells and barbells. Now, I've kind of briefly explained that, and I know if you haven't seen the video, click on my Instagram, you'll see the video of me showing why the gravitational pull in particular direction is going to take the load off the muscle. Now, to be honest with you, I don't give a shit about this shit. I don't really care. Of course, I put it on there so I can get some interaction. I got plenty of interaction, so I got exactly what I asked for. Perfect. But the reason for that video wasn't just to get likes and comments and people to inbox me. Shit, it wasn't for that. The reason for that is that when we go to the gym, we have a very limited time in the gym. Very limited time in the gym. We don't spend more than, if you are someone who's very serious about training, we don't spend more than 2 hours in the gym. Nobody can. It's literally impossible unless you're doing Rich Piana's 8-hour workout, which no one's doing. So you don't want to spend that long in the gym. And the time that you spend in the gym, you want to be doing the most effective exercises. Then you leave and you repair the muscle that you have damaged. Intentionally, of course. Not unintentionally, because unintentional damage would be an injury. We don't want that. So you damage the muscle fibers. Now we look at the data presented in front of us. Now here's the data. This is where it gets tricky. Because many people would argue, well, this guy's data says this and that guy's data says that. And I've looked at all the research papers and I've looked at all the data that people talk about. The problem is, when you apply that into a real life setting, it doesn't add up, G. It's as simple as that. It just doesn't add up. And I'll give you an example why. When they do these tests on muscle activation, I'll explain how it works. They will get these electrode things and they will put them on the bicep. They will say, do a bicep curl. So we'll do a bicep curl. And then they'll put them on a muscle and they'll say to somebody, do a cable behind the back curl. Now, if someone is an advanced lifter like me, I can switch off my biceps and turn them on however I see fit. Whichever agenda I'm selling, I can do that. Now, you'll argue and say, well, okay, they're not trying to sell no agenda. They ain't got nothing to push. True, okay, no problem. They ain't got nothing to push. Okay. Now, you look at practical data. Now, this is practical data. Or you could call it wisdom. You could call it smart. You can call it experience. You might research something to the highest level, but when you actually break it down to the nitty-gritty, it doesn't add up, bro. It doesn't add up. Time and time again, it's been disproved. That if you're just reading from a textbook, you cannot be the best. You have to apply it in a real-world setting. And a real-world setting, to me, isn't just one paper of or one video of, oh, this guy connected this electrode and did it. It's data compounded over many years. Now, I've been in the gym for a long time. One thing that I've noticed recently is people get injured, torn biceps, back pain, hip pain, all this shit. This never existed back in the days. Even the older guys in my gym, the 40-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, the 60-year-olds, were not injured. They used less machines at the time. Barbells, dumbbells, basic compound lifts. They stretched within the lift. Now you're going into these machines, especially these cables, which are just set for you exactly how you want to lift. And yes, they might be good for certain people. So this is not a one size fits all. This is the problem with it. But if you look at the data, and we only have a little bit of data, but there's more injuries and less muscle mass being built for the time that people have used cables for. If you go back for 50, 60, 70 years when people have used barbells and dumbbells, and you look at the data and you collect that over time, and you use someone like me who is a real life test subject for 25 years, people act like I haven't done these cable exercises. People act like I haven't done push-pull legs. People act like I haven't done, pec deck, chest presses or pec deck, whatever bullshit it is. People act like I've never used a hack squat or I've never used a Smith machine. I've used all these things to come to the conclusion that it doesn't work. For me and for my clients, when I'm pushing it out to people, I'm telling them, when people pay me for coaching, for example, I'm going to give them the best advice possible. Going to give them the best thing moving forward. And when you speak to guys who are 50, 60, 70, and you look at their workouts and you look at the workouts they're doing today, you think, hang on a minute, it's exactly the same thing I'm doing. Which means what? If I'm doing this now, I can still do this for the rest of my life. Whereas I see people use cables, not a lot of muscle mass. Those people that do this, let's just talk about this one angled high back pulley that goes down. You look at this exercise and everybody's crazy about doing this exercise now. And it gets popular from these pro bodybuilders doing it. What you got to understand is when these pro bodybuilders do it, they've already got the muscle mass there. They don't use this to get big. They might do this now, but they needed something. They needed the compound lifts. They needed the heavy barbell rows, the T-bar rows, the deadlifts, the pull-ups. They needed all this to get big. Now they can shape and do all the funky shit. And people are doing this now. There's a lot of youth nowadays doing all this stuff. And I see bodybuilding shows. I go to bodybuilding shows. Where's all the backs gone? Where are all the backs? Now you look at Mr. Olympia. Hadi Chupam, Derek Lunsford. What did they do? Deadlifts, barbell rows. I don't see them doing fancy shit. Hadi could still be doing fancy shit, but at least he's paid his dues. Derek Lunsford could do the fancy shit now, but he still paid his dues. Those are two guys that I know exactly how they train. Ronnie Coleman never used that kind of shit. Jay Cutler never used that kind of shit. I'm not saying that kind of shit is wrong, but I'm just saying you gotta think of the most effective route there. It's very simple. If there was 100 meters, and to travel 100 meters, what's the best way to get there? Run. It'd get there quick. Would it affect your body in any way, 100 meters? Nah, it's not gonna really be that taxing. Running barefoot, if you want, running barefoot. Just get there. It's okay, it's only 100 meters. If you walk, pointless walking. You're going to get there it's going to take you 10 times longer to get there, and it's going to cause no less fatigue than 100 meters. Now, if you said to me 100 miles, but you also want to stay healthy, I'd be like, oh, hang on a minute. Whoa. Now we need good footwear. We need to pace ourselves. We can't go all out 100 meters. We can't be like running the 100 meters. We have to go slow and steady. Walking is probably not the best option. Maybe a light jog. Maybe a light jog and a walk, so we don't hit fatigue. If you're just a normal guy and not an untrained athlete, what is the best way forward? We shouldn't sprint it. You see, every single thing has a method to the madness, or a way, or the best way possible to get there, a safest way possible to get there. And it's not necessarily, this is right and that is wrong. I'm not trying to say that. Obviously, I have to, put things out there a little bit that are polarizing. Otherwise, people would be like, it's okay. Just another piece of content, another guy talking shit about training. And trust me, I can back it up. So this is a challenge to anyone out there. Anybody out there, bro. Come, talk to me. Let's see it, bro. Prove it to me that you're going to build muscle. You're going to take a 16-year-old with these kind of workouts and build him into a champion. Prove it. You're going to take someone who's fat and obese and out of shape to get into good shape, the best, safest way possible and the quickest way possible by doing these cable movements. It's not going to happen. Tried it, tested it, I know it doesn't work. I can see the data in front of me. I've got enough experience, enough wisdom. Now, you cannot read wisdom in a book. You cannot read experience in a book. These two things require time and effort. I can get very smart by just reading more. And believe me, I have a very good system of reading. People don't often know that. I've mentioned it before. If you want to know my system of reading, go look through my videos. I'll tell you exactly how I read. And I bet I read a hell of a lot more quicker and a lot more than you. Unless you are an avid book reader, like myself. But anyway, guys, there you have it. Probably a little bit of a slow video, bit of a slow burner. But cables versus free weights. I don't really like cables. I don't think they are nowhere near as effective and safe. Because with a barbell and a dumbbell, you know where you are. You know what it feels like every single time. And the reason why I said 50 kg is 50 kg is because no matter where you are in the world, as long as that barbell weighs 50 kg, it will always be 50 kg. When you are using a cable pulley and you put on 50 kg, depending on the height of the machine, depending on the thickness of the cable, depending on the thickness of the coating on the cable, and depending on the wheel of the pulley, it could be metal, it could be plastic, it could be rubber coated. Depending on all these factors, 50 kg just ain't going to be 50 kg. If you want to argue with that, bro, then let's go. If you don't know basic science, people say to me, you don't know basic physics. Bro, well, you clearly don't know basic physics because 50 kg isn't 50 kg. For those people who said, well, is this 50 kg? Of course I know what I'm talking about, bro. People think I'm going to push it out there and I'm not going to talk about. So I'm just going to go through. In fact, no, do you know what I was going to say? I was going to go through a couple of these comments, but I think you guys all get the idea. A lot of them are like, well, this is misinformation. You shouldn't be a PT. You shouldn't say this. You shouldn't say that. Like, they know nothing about me. They've watched a video of 7 seconds with me saying one thing that they didn't like. And the one thing that I said they didn't like is constant tension throughout, zero tension at the bottom. That's the only thing. And it's amazing how people on YouTube, or not YouTube actually, but because you can explain yourself on YouTube a little bit better, but especially on Instagram, they will base your whole knowledge on one thing, on one 7-second reel. Now, let's just say, let's just entertain the idea of this 7-second reel that I made, just this 7-second reel. It was a mistake. I made a mistake. Let's say I did the research and it was wrong. I made the mistake. And I know I didn't make the mistake, but let's just say I made the mistake. I'm just wrong for 7 seconds, bro. I'm just wrong for 7 seconds. That is all it is. You can't now come on someone and actually hound the guy and say, well, actually, no, you know what? You can do it. You are allowed to do it. You're entitled to it and you should do it. Because without that, the algorithm will pick me up, bro. Because of that, the algorithm picks me up. But it's a very crazy world anyway. Social media is an absolute crazy world. And I suppose the more you grow, the more popular you get. Like just this year alone, like since January, February, March is like, kind of finishing. I've gained like 10, 12,000 subscribers. 10,000, 12,000 followers on Instagram. So it's been pretty crazy. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, link is in the description. Get following. And if you want coaching off me, link is also in the description right at the top. Join the dojo. Please support me, guys. And if you want to see more content like this, comment down below, like, and please subscribe.